Welcome to the Lonesome Willow podcast. On this week's episode, we have Allie Strother on. I met Allie when I first got Mo into dock diving. We go over how she got into short hairs, the love she has for them, as well as her love for dock diving and field trialing. Thank you for tuning in and listening to her story. You can find her on Facebook under Allie Marie or Rustic Lodge Working Dogs. You can also find her on Instagram under Allie Hun, which is ALLYHUHN, and Rustic Lodge Working Dogs. To see the video version of the episode with added pictures, you can find it on the Lonesome Willow Gundogs channel on YouTube. This week's episode, we have Allie Strother here. I met her back in, was it 2020? 2021?
It would have been 2020, yeah, with Mo.
Okay, for dock diving. So my first question for you is, how did you get into hunting?
Bird dogs. I got into upland hunting when I met my now ex-husband, when I met Brent. He had the upland bird dogs. He had short hairs. Prior to that, my experience was duck hunting with golden retrievers and Chesapeake Bay retrievers. But I initially got into German short hair pointers when I met Brent. He had a couple. So we started upland hunting. Pheasant would have been 2014-ish for me. Prior to that, my only shotgun experience, like I said, was ducks, geese, and turkey. So I've been doing it a long time. I will give him credit for teaching me to train dogs. He's done a lot of bird dog training I've learned. I was fortunate to learn from him and a few other mentors across the years that has brought me completely to where I am today. So I always give credit where credit's due. I've learned quite a lot from Randy Hilligus and Jeremiah Moore and Brent. I've learned from Paul Leppert for dock diving. Kevin up at Orion Kennels up. He's taught me a lot. I've been blessed to have people who share their knowledge with me. And there's not many people that do that sometimes in these worlds. You know, they go out and they want to run their dogs or hunt their dogs or train or trial their dogs, but they don't share the bits and pieces of information that you may not learn from the video, that you only learn from on the ground. And what I learned in years worth of judging all of this is, if you see something and it impresses you, that would have been maybe a fault or a dog works through, ask how the dog got there. Ask the handler. If they trained them, a good handler will share how they got there. So over the years, I've been extremely blessed.
Your first bird dog then?
My first what?
Bird dog.
That would be Caesar. He was my first own bird dog. He's now old. As I had told you, he's doing his last hunt tomorrow. So Caesar has a decade of me making mistakes with him, and boy, did I make them. He's the first one I got my hands on to train from. He was 7 weeks, I think, when we brought him home. So 7 weeks to now. He's the first one I got my hands on to do the training for, alongside the mentors I've used, and he was perfect for me, because if you know short hairs, they're all over the personality map. You know, some are hard-headed, some are soft. He was a completely hard-headed, dopey male who I couldn't break, if that makes sense. Like, I've had a few softer ones since then that, you know, I have to be, you know, careful with and soft with, and, you know, don't want to be too harsh on. Not Caesar. He said, here, let me do this, and then I'm going to do that, and let's see how you react, over and over and over and over again. So he gave me the opportunity to learn the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I can see, you know, he's my oldest. My youngest is now 10 months, and I can see where I've improved as a trainer and a handler, even in how I'm training that 10-month-old. Caesar, like I said, he accepted everything I did wrong, and then accepted it when I had to fix what I did wrong. And I laugh, but if you've had your first bird dog you've trained, you know you're definitely going to learn a lot from year 1 to year 10. You know, I'm 11 years out now, over 11 years out now. If I knew then what I know now, boy, I can only imagine where Caesar would have gone. And he's done well, but I can only imagine where he'd have gone. So we grew up together. If there's such a thing, I joke that people don't realize how much you can learn and be raised by a single bird dog.
Yeah, that's how Mo was. He taught me a lot. I always say he's my We butt heads a lot, and he knows what buttons to push.
That's me and Caesar. Caesar and I, we've gone from, he's my first field trial dog that I ran. He's my first dock diving dog. He's my first AKC hunt testing dog. So he really has covered the basis for where I got to where I am. And he was my learning dog for all those sports. So like I said, I've taken him out in a field trial and missed every bird in the field. We were telling the story. I remember running one of the local trials up here at Fairbank, and remember using 7 shells. You're only allowed 6. Still didn't bag 3 birds. Caesar always he got real good at learning no bird, because he'd wait for the bird to come up, and I'm pretty sure he started to stop and wait to see whether he should waste his energy running after it to bring it back or just let it go. But he didn't. He took it all in grace, and he accepted me for my faults. And there's something to be said about a dog that does that. He was easygoing, but like you said, bullheaded. I mean, it's all, short hairs are short hairs. I joke that I don't know how I can say this to people enough. When you go into a situation with a short hair, I swear they know whether you're stressed, you're sick, you're tired, you're upset, or you're anxious. And they're going to pick that button, and that's what they're going to push. And sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad. But Caesar was real good at not letting my anxiety overcome his ability to do what I asked him to. And he always did it. And some of my older dogs, that like Cleo, she's a few years younger. She still feeds off my anxieties and my fears. So the performance would have been as expected. Caesar, on the flip side of that, he had me. He was like, I got you. Do your best. I'll bring up everything I can in the back end. And he always did. He absolutely did. I don't know, with all the dogs I have 7 short hairs right now. And I can tell you that of these 7 short hairs, there's only one other one in that bunch that I probably would have been as lucky to have raised me as Caesar did. The other ones have been blessed that Caesar did it, because they didn't have to deal with what he did. He got the hard part.
So, bringing into all of the dogs that you have, so you have 7 short hairs. You have more than that, though.
I have a 1-year-old Labrador, Summit, and I have a 5-year-old Whippet. The Whippet's the random dog. He thinks he's a short hair or a flusher, whichever one he chooses to be that day. He will go out and he'll hunt right alongside the dogs. He's not half bad. He can catch a rabbit in a heartbeat. You won't get the shot off on a rabbit. But he races. I race him. He does frisbee, he does dock, and he does some coursing. But that's Whippet's a race dog, so he does some coursing. But he pals around just with these dogs, just like they do. He can find a bird in a field just like they can. Except if it's not fast enough getting off the ground, he catches them and you don't get to shoot them. He's not real steady. But the lab, she's pretty phenomenal. We waited 3 years. I waited 3 years for her. She's tiny. She's a year old. She's 41 pounds the other day at the vet, so she's super tiny. Just coming into her own. She's doing some agility, dock diving, frisbee, field trialing, and hunting. She'll be out tomorrow for training. We just taught her not even a month and a half ago. She was just comfortable going across a frozen pond to retrieve, and knowing the ice may break on her way back and getting her way out of it. And she did okay. So she's getting there. But yes, I have 9 total at the moment. They range in age from 10 to 10 months. We have Caesar, the oldest. Caesar is a half-brother to Moose, who just turned 9, and he's 9.5, I think. Now, Moose is 9.5. They're half-brothers. Then we have Cleo. Then we look at their kennels to get it right. Then we have Cleo. Then I have Cleo's daughter, Athena. I have Athena's sister and brother, Fauna and Artie, also from Cleo, but 2 years younger. And then I have Striker, who's 10 months old, and I have Zeus the Whippet and Summit the Lab. So I have 5 dogs under 2. That's a lot. Trust me, that's a lot. That's an awful lot. But it's worth it. I mean, my older dogs are aging out. this Caesar's the last is tomorrow, and then I'm gonna have Cleo and Moose. Um, I'll probably run them hard another year or two, and then they'll be retired out. And by then, I've got Athena rolling through, and then I'll have the puppies to come up with Athena. So there's always those younger dogs getting ready to get out there on the birds and hunt for you. I like to keep the younger dogs off the state game lands and wild birds until they're a little older, till I'm sure of them. So they're usually two. So this fall, those 2-year-olds, Artie and Fauna, will be hitting wild birds this fall. They'll be ready. Short hairs get so squirrely at like 18 months that they'll train all through the summer. We'll get them on a wild birds in the fall. So.
Do you have a theme for when you name your dogs?
I do. It's kind of a little helter-skelter at the moment. I did not choose Moose's name, for the record. But there's Caesar, Cleopatra, Athena, Fauna, Artemis. Striker's call name is Striker, but his regular name is Bronte. So, yes, I do. My short hairs are, except for Moose, they're all named after a goddess or some such. So, yes, there's a bit of a theme that goes on here.
Okay. Is there a reason you picked that, or just
10 years ago I wanted to.
Okay.
Is that a good answer? 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago, I thought I wanted to, let's start a theme and name all these dogs this. And I happened to like Caesar, and I was just like, he looks like a Caesar. He feels like a Caesar. And I just, once I picked that name, I was like, well, we're just going to keep this line going now. Like I said, Moose is very random. He's always been kind of random. If you know Moose, you would understand. He is who he is. I don't know that he would have accepted the name I wanted to give him. Just saying.
Okay. Where have you traveled to hunt?
South Dakota. I was in Michigan last fall. Maine, Virginia, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania. If we start counting field trial states and calling that hunting, I've been everywhere. Technically, I've killed birds in a lot more states because of field trials, not necessarily fun hunting. So last fall is when I started to spend more time fun hunting and less time field trialing. But field trialing, I've covered so many states. I can't even keep track of it. I'd have to pull a map out and mark them off. From Kansas to Missouri to Maine to South Dakota to Oklahoma, Kentucky, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. I mean, we've been all over. This fall, I'm planning on Maine, Michigan, and maybe South Dakota or Colorado.
That's my train of thought. For field trials, you do UFTA, correct?
And National Upland Classic Series, NUX and UFTA. They are both shoot to retrieve organizations. They're both the same. You get a field. It's got 3 birds planted. You get 15 minutes to clear the field with the cleanest shots. You get 6 shells. You want to use 3. As fast as you can do it, full retrieves to hand, as quick as you can go. Sub 5 minutes is where you're going to need to be to do well in either of those organizations. They're basically the same. There's slight differences. National Upland Classic Series allows you to use an e-collar on your dog. They also use a larger field to hunt, usually 7 to 10 acres. That field is not marked. It's like hunting a preserve would be. United Field Trialers Association, they do not allow e-collars, but their fields tend to be smaller, and they're broken up by zones. You've got Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3, and you are guaranteed 1 bird to be planted in each zone. The moral of the story is the same. 3 birds, 1 field, 1 dog, 1 handler, cleanest shots, quickest runs. That's essentially what it comes down to. But, each organization has its pluses and its minuses. The thought behind them all is the same. It's just a matter of what you care more about. Do you want a collar? Do you not want a collar? Do you want zones? Do you not want zones? I personally run better in a field with no zone poles, because I cut the dog loose and let my dog hunt. When I see zone poles, I tend to overhandle and try to keep the dog in a zone, knowing, well, there's got to be a bird right in this section here somewhere. And that's not how I hunt. So for me, I'd rather not have poles, give me a field, and let my dog go. not try to keep the dog into where like I said, I tend to think the bird might be. It's a really bad habit, but it's whatever suits your fancy. I'm fortunate. My dogs can run with or without collars. I have met dogs that are a little harder to handle that you're going to need a collar on them. So, again, it all depends on your dogs. What your dog's able to do well for you with. And I will tell people this. They all allow an opportunity for you to handle your dog and have somebody shoot for you. So if you're holding yourself back from trying these things, because I admit there's nothing worse than being nervous, handling your gun, shooting the birds, watching the dog. It's a lot for first timers to, have to do all 3 steps or so. You can handle your dog in the field and allow somebody else to shoot for you. And you can start that way, and that'll get you in and get you used to being in the field and how your dog's going to handle, and then that's a gateway into handling for yourself and shooting. So, and if you don't I would say if you don't want to shoot birds, you can always do walking and horseback trials. They're definitely out there. They don't shoot live birds, and that's not an option you have to worry about.
Those are through those ones, so walking and the field trials are usually through AKC and UKC, right?
Correct. They are. And there's some, and I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know directly what these ones are. There are other branches of the amateur gundogs. The setter clubs have them, just like we have Knox and UFTA. The setter clubs and the English pointer clubs, I believe they also have organizations that do the same for horseback and walking. And again, that's a step for your bigger running dogs that you don't need to you don't need to shoot things with them. Because I hear so many people say, well, I'd like to try to field trial, but I'm not that good of a shot. You can try Nastra. So Nastra is shoot to retrieve. Again, you can use a collar. Well, I'm not sure. You may be able to use a collar. I'm not going to lie. That may be correct or incorrect. But you do shoot your birds for your dog and they have to retrieve them. However, they don't count the number of shells it takes you to shoot the bird. So I actually pondered trying Nastra this fall, thinking maybe I'd have more luck if that wasn't that occasional miss I have here and there. But Nastra, there's more flexibility in the shooting, more so emphasis on the dogs running. So that is another option if you want to try things.
And then I know, so PA, I know has a lot of them, Ohio, trucker challenges.
Correct.
So I noticed that a lot of field trialers go to the trucker challenges. Do you guys use that more or less? It's for fun runs, but do you guys use that more or less for like training too? Because it's timed,
You will find January and February is when you'll see it. You'll see the field trialers showing up at a lot of the local trucker challenges. A lot of that is because nationals are the end of February, early March. So if you see them there in January, February, we used to use February up here at Fairbank to practice our doubles teams and our singles that needed it because it was an opportunity. You also see the what I call the genuine field trialers. You'll see them show up to the trucker challenges that have cash payout prizes. They will definitely show up to those. But usually if it's February, they're practicing for nationals. It's an opportunity to get in the field. Because the older dogs, like some of my older dogs, they know the difference when we pull in a parking lot, whether they're there for a field trial or we're there to hunt. So like you said, getting them in that field, that time, that environment, the dogs know the difference. They know the difference between when we're training and we're at a real trial. The young ones don't. It's those older ones that have gotten savvy to it. But yes, they're going to show up in January and February to practice for nationals.
what do you do when you're not running dogs, basically? What's your career?
I'm pretty sure no one thinks I have a real job. I do. I work from home. I've been home for many, many years now. I have been in medical device regulatory approvals globally for 20 plus years now. I work for a pharmaceutical company who makes infusion pumps and everything we do is a medical device that administers a medication. I've been working, when I started out doing medical device approvals, I started out in implants, knees, shoulders, good old fashioned titanium stuff. And it's now merged into more implantable infusion pumps where it's got software and all that stuff with it. But I do it globally. I work Right now, I've got projects in China, Russia, Israel, South Korea, Canada, the United States. I mean, I literally some days I'm on the phone early because Israel's so many hours ahead of us, and then I turn around and I'm on the West Coast with so many hours behind us. Um, but I've done it a long time. I actually truly enjoy doing it, and I think it helps to feed my enjoyment with the dogs and training them, because in terms of all these trials and these dog sports and stuff, my actual job is to follow the rules. When you're getting devices approved and working with regulatory bodies and authorities, you have a set of rules. You have to do this to get this through. So I joke that some people would tell you, maybe you know the rules too well. I think that's a consequence. I have to know the rules. That's what I get. I get paid to know the rules. So as a judge, I tend to know the rules for all of them, unfortunately or fortunately. But yes, I've done it a long time.
Okay. So, what is moving back towards the dogs and hunting then? What's your favorite game you've harvested or you harvest and why?
Sharp-tailed grouse. I like the Sharpies. I really like sharp-tailed grouse. I like rough grouse. Um, I like the Sharpies because they're actually easier to shoot. I mean, they're squirrelier. They're squirrely like regular rough grouse. Um, Rough grouse in Pennsylvania, kind of. They're a love of the chase, because for everyone you find, it's whether or not getting the. It's not finding the bird sometimes. It's just, do you get the shot at the bird? How many trees will die in the process of shooting at the bird? Um, when you go out west, the sharp-tailed grouse tend to find in those dried old ponds, pond bottoms, and they bust early, but when they come up, they make the coolest sound, and man, they're a sight to be seen when you get to see them. And they're fun to hunt. The noise they make, the way we've been blessed to find them, the way they come up off the ground in South Dakota, I've never had. That's a feeling I get from them that I've never gotten from any other bird I've hunted. Although I do like my next second best would probably be woodcock. I like shooting some woodcock. They're a fun bird to find. So exactly, trying to get one shot. That would be my next one. The hardest one, I think, is rough grouse. I think rough grouse are hard to hit. We got lucky last fall. We found some spots that we were able to put up quite a few in a day. It's that whole hitting them thing that just keeps catching up to me. So we're getting better at it. We'll try again this year.
That's what I'm gonna take Arch out this fall, and try for some grouse with him.
Out near God's country. That's where we were putting up quite a few grouse last fall, out near God's country.
Yeah, I went for a scouting day with RGS up in Coudersport, and we probably put up like 5 birds up there, and there was I think there was at least like 7 of us that went, like, we had mentors that take us out to show us like what to look for and where to kind of find them. And I think everybody at least put up 2, if not more.
They seem to be coming back in that area. We were up there wasn't in season, and there was one in the middle of the road, standing there. I was like, is that the elusive rough grouse just hanging out while we're actually looking for an eagle? And there it was, standing in the middle of the road, doing its thing. So they're definitely coming back out that way. It is good.
Which one of your dogs has made the biggest impact in your life?
Cleo. I would actually say it's a tie between Caesar and Cleo. Cleo's definitely been a game changer for everything I know about training, because she's a soft dog, so she had to be trained completely differently than Caesar did. Cleo's taught me patience. She's taught me how to read a dog. She's taught me how to breed a nice dog. She's taught me. She's my first breeding bitch. I have three of her kids in my house currently, and they are everything I wanted and then some. And I bred her daughter, Athena, and I got Striker, and I'm now seeing the reward to the efforts I've put in based on getting Striker. He's something. She taught me to allow myself grace, because she's the first one to call me out. I don't know if you've ever seen the pictures of me and her on docks at like nationals. where she will go 24 feet and then do a 19 in air retrieve and practice, and then we go up on the dock and she comes down to the end of the dock, literally sits in front of me and gives me her paw. You learn grace. She's taught me to have patience, not push her, and the best thing I ever did was not push her. Let her do her, and when she does it phenomenally. But taught me to read. She taught me to read dogs. I see so many people, and I did it. Like I said with Caesar, he made it easy for me to tell him what I wanted him to do, and he was going to do it. Where Cleo taught me to have the patience to allow her, on her terms, sometimes, to do it. She always shows up. She does. But the patience on how to work with Cleo versus Caesar, the two of them, night and day. Absolutely night and day. And what, like I said, I've been fortunate. They've taught me, by being so different, they've taught me so much. And both of them have been with me in my personal life through so much. There's things people say a dog won't save you. I would argue that statement. I'm pretty sure I got 9 of them here at the moment that's done that for me.
So we kind of know your breed of choice. But if you couldn't have that breed, what's your second?
Field-bred lab, but I'm pretty picky about my field-bred labs. I waited a long time for Summit. There's a reason why. She's pretty perfect. If she would, she points. If she would have been first, like if she'd have been Caesar, there'd probably be no short hairs. She's a pretty nice little dog, and she's super eager to please. She does whatever I ask. I mean, she doesn't even question it. She just happy. What do we do? I can do it with you. Okay, let's go. We're gonna do it. Where I think short hairs, she doesn't have that quirky personality they give you, if that makes any sense. But short hairs, sometimes, I joke life's on their terms. Sometimes it definitely is on their terms. You have short hairs. I don't have to tell you. But the labs, she doesn't seem to go through those stages the short hairs do. So she's, in terms of emotional stability, the dog's emotional stability, not mine. In terms of the dog's emotional stability, she's a much more emotionally stable dog than my short hairs are as a breed. She's, I know why so many people, when their short hairs hit 18 months to 2 years of age, wonder what happened to the dog they had and where it went and when's it coming home. Because they have their moments. She doesn't. Labs don't seem to go through that. And a lot of people, I personally think a lab is all around more versatile than a short hair. People will argue that. But 95% of the labs I find are willing to say, if you want to go, hold on one second. So sorry. Males with females in season. GSPs are versatile. Do not get me wrong. I mean, but of all my short hairs, only half of them dock dive. So if I want to feel more optimistic that I'm going to get myself truly, say I know I want to dock dive, I know I want to hunt, all these, and say agility, I would say labs it. It's the way to go. You're going to have a whole lot less beating your head off the wall because, not every short hair is going to go off a dock. Your chances of getting that with a lab are considerably greater than the short hair. Short hairs are about 50-50. I would think they're 50-50 on which ones are going to do it and which ones aren't. And that's even on my own, and I train dock diving. So I train dock diving, and I can tell you Fauna is not getting in my pool. She absolutely not. But then I've been lucky. I've got some that, do it naturally. And I've got Striker, bless his heart, 10 months old. When he was 6 months old, I can walk into a pool and go off a dock, and he goes behind me. He doesn't even give it 2 thoughts. He just, okay, we're going, let's go, Where Moose was a labor of love. Moose is proof that if you put enough determination and grit in, after 3 years, you might get him off a dock. It took 3 years to get Moose to dock dive. So if you don't want to have that kind of chance at okay, am I really willing to dedicate 3 years of my life to getting a dog off a dock, or do I want to get a Labrador that's probably 75% more likely to just go? So, and they're just, short hairs take a lot of training. You know that. I think Labs are considerably easier to train for upland hunting. You can get them on the ground months earlier doing what you need them to do versus, you know, a lab's more willing to just freely retrieve naturally. Some short hairs you have to work with them on retrieve to get them to come back the way they should. And then, with short hairs you've got to worry about steady, and labs you don't have any of those issues. Does your lab listen? Yes. Does it recall? Yes. Does it retrieve? Yes. Let's go. On the ground. Short hairs have a lot more involved in the patience of getting them to properly do their job.
And I think they're very independent. Compared
Especially when they want to be.
to labs, yeah. And going down with training with Kira and Chris from Wild River Kennels, they do the labs. I can see a lot of differences from watching them train the labs. Like, he doesn't need, like, even like the puppies, like adolescents, he doesn't need an e-collar on them most of the time. Like, they're just very dependent. You're going to tell me what I'm going to do and I'm going to do it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And they'll do it because you scratch their head.
Yeah, and they're pleased to, like, lay out on the chain gang and wait for you to come get them and do what you need to do with them. And then you have my short hairs over on the chain gang shivering, acting like you beat them because you have them tied out.
Yep, sounds about right. Even in the house, though, my lab will lay with me, but she's just as happy laying wherever she happens to want to be. So when she does come to cuddle, it's all everybody else get down because it's unusual. She doesn't like to pile so much on. Short hairs tend to pile. I can have 4 or 5 laying on top of each other. She'll have one lay with her, but she doesn't prefer that whole dog pile. But the short hairs literally have to be touching me 95% of the day, where she'll come over and she's on her terms, but she's very content to go lay on the couch or, like you said, go do her thing, or, oh, you're going to put me in here while you go do that and leave me here? That's cool. I'll be here when you get back. Oh, and we're going to go do something? Great. What are we doing? Where are we going? I'm in. Where some of my female short hairs, you can make them upset, and they remind you they're upset for a day. I let my mom and dad, they're older, and they will borrow Cleo if they want a dog for a couple days. And I had dropped Cleo off to them, and I ran down because I had to take something back down to them. And she'd only been there like a day, and I was like, "No, stay with Grandma Pap. I'll be back." My dad said when I walked out that door and closed it, she went up on his couch and she moped for 4 hours. It took multiple treats and a walk to get her to even remotely begin to look at somebody again. And I was like, I noticed that in my girls, not so much my boys, but my girls they will let you know. Where I don't think labs do that either.
They do that. I always say the short hairs, if they can skin you and wear you, like, they will, so they can get they want to get in your skin.
That's a fact. That is an absolute fact. I would agree with that.
What else do I got for you? So out of all of your activities that you do, what do you enjoy the most?
That's a tie. I enjoy doubles, pointing, field trialing, because I have never left well, that's not true. One time in all these years, I leave when you could run doubles, there's 2 dogs, 2 handlers, so it's chaos. It is legitimately just chaos. And so I usually do it with a friend, and usually we leave the field laughing, just belly laughing, because something goes awry every time. There's always a story that'll be told in 10 years about that run. And I enjoy dock diving. And the reason I enjoy dock diving is 95% of the time, dock diving has no stress. It is legitimately on a dock, throwing a bumper, having fun. Where field trialing has that level of stress that goes with it because you don't want to miss birds. But you get that camaraderie from doing it with a friend. Or dock diving, it's you and your dog doing it, and just you two. I hate to say it, I don't know, there's not much you can mess up in it. I mean, now when you get some big jumping dogs and you get you start fine-tuning stuff, you do risk, you're looking for things, how you throw, how you time. But in the big picture, at the end of the day, it is the most stress-free thing. The dog is so happy to be there, carrying on and having fun. And all you're doing is going up on a dock, put the dog at the end of it, and throw a bumper. And they're happy to catch it, and they're happy to come back. So you don't have that level. There's a certain level of nervousness that goes with field trialing that I don't get with dock diving. But there's a certain level of camaraderie of doing I won't lie, it's only doubles. It's not singles pointing by any means. It is strictly doubles pointing. That heals my soul to why I enjoy doing it. Because there's always a laugh. It's who you do life with. It's who you share those times with. It's the stories you'll make doing it. And doubles pointing has always led me to the good ones. So if you're too nervous to get in the field by yourself, find yourself someone willing to go with you. Because I can tell you, you will laugh about something. Something will happen. It's guaranteed. I've only had one run in all these years that there was nothing that went wrong, and I was actually sad. I was like, what do we laugh about? Finished too fast. That doesn't happen like that. Can we do it again? I need a reason to. We have no story other than we did well. That's the story, and there's nothing to laugh about with that. So it had the good and the bad.
And for dock diving, you do the all three categories, correct?
I do air retrieve, hydro dash, and distance. Okay, so distance is normal. Dog runs a 40-foot dock, jumps off of it to catch or to chase a toy into the water. Whoever they hit the water and their tail catches their back, it breaks the surface, that's what your distance is. That's how all dogs are distanced the same, so you don't have to worry about the length of the body. Air retrieve it depends on which group you go with, but as a rule of thumb, air retrieve is 2 feet. It's a toy that's suspended 2 feet above the dock surface, so it's 4 feet off the water. And it extends out across the pool. So the 4 feet distance stays constant, and it goes further out, 10 feet, 12 feet distance from the dock edge. And the dog, again, has 40 feet to come up and grab that toy. I personally, through training and owning dogs that's gotten older, air retrieve is the hardest discipline on a dog's body and to learn, to master. And then there's Hydro Dash, which is where Caesar's going to retire to. They get 10 feet on the dock for Hydro Dash. It's only 10 feet. A bumper is suspended at 35 feet on the pool. The dog has to come from the 10 feet, jump off the pool, and swim down, grab the bumper, and swim back. So it's essentially a swim speed game. So there's not a lot of stress you don't have the stress of running down that 40-foot dock because there's only 10 feet. So you're basically just, coming off the dock shortly and swimming. And swimming's good for every dog. So it's a game that's, I feel, conducive to dogs of all ages because they're not stressing the joints on air retrieve for coming off the edge and for distance for run dogs. So there's the 3 distances. Most organizations, because there are various organizations again, there's the AKC with NAD, there's IDS, there's Dock Dogs, I believe there's another one now. SRS has one. Essentially, all get just like field trialing, all the same games. They call them something different. They all have. Well, Dock Dogs has extreme vertical, which is different. It's where a toy, and I can't tell the distances because I don't know. The toy is hung off the edge of the pool so far out, and instead of going out away from the dock, it literally keeps going higher up from the dock. So the dog goes straight up to grab it, and they only get so much distance on the dock as well. But again, most of them have a grab game, air retrieve, extreme vertical. They have a speed game, hydro dash. I don't know what they call it in IDS. Dock Dogs has dueling dogs, 2 speed dogs, race swimming down to get a bumper and come back. So there's anything you can think of you want to do with your dog, there's definitely something for you to do with it now. Lure coursing with my Whippet. I did some Fast Cat with him. Every time we ran Fast Cat, blows his pads he did get titles, but he blows his pads because he runs about 35 miles an hour. So he blows his pads on those quick stops. He prefers the 600-yard courses where they literally chase a lure around a field, getting timed on it. So he enjoys the coursing. Long distance is better for him. I do not Fast Cat any of my other dogs. The Whippet's the only one I ever did it with.
What is your funniest fail and your best win?
My funniest fail?
Yeah.
Oh my, that could be a number of things. But And I have a picture somewhere, and I literally just found it the other day. That's why it's on my head. We talk about Moose learning to dock dive, right? Took 3 years. We went to a dogs event down in Weirton, West Virginia. Um, he was doing moose things. And I was just on the edge of, like, leaning over on the edge of the dock, kind of trying to get him off the dock, trying to get him to jump. Um, he took a 6-inch score. 6 inches was his jump off the dock. 6 inches. He literally, I was at my feet on the edge, and he went to come in front of me, and he was facing me, and he fell into the pool, like vertical, with his back to the outside edge of the pool and his face facing the dock, like turned backwards. I have a picture of it. He looks like it looks like a cartoon. It's so stupidly ridiculous. That would be an epic fail. He 6 inches, literally 6-inch jump, because he fell in backwards, trying to tell me why he shouldn't get in the water. That happened. That was an epic fail.
And what is your best win you think you've had?
My best win.
Or your favorite?
My favorite win?
Something happened. Mm-hmm.
Caesar got inducted to the Gated Dogs Hall of Fame last week for dock diving. And that's my favorite because we've built it for a decade. And he has won so much. He's the first short hair to earn so many titles in the organization. And he's placed at nationals multiple times. He's won regionals a couple years in a row. At his age, we've spent years building I think he's got 21 titles now. Just titles, not including wins. And it's something that we've built upon. We didn't come upon that just yesterday. So I think it shows how we've grown together throughout the course of his career. So that's probably the greatest one for me. Hopefully one day he'll get into the actual original affiliate, or the actual original main one. But we'll see. He needs to be a little older for that yet.
Do you have any tips for people getting into events for running their dogs, besides just do it?
If you think you want to do something, most of the events have nice people there. They truly do. Before you sign up, take your dog, attend one. You may attend it and realize it's nothing like you thought, and you don't want to do it. Someone reminded me today by something to show up. You have to start by showing up. You may need to show up at four chucker challenges or 4 dock events, or before you get the confidence to step into the field or onto the dock. But show up, talk to people. A lot of the times, someone, if you stick around long enough, at the end of the day, they'll help you out and walk you through things. But if you don't show up, you'll never know. You can show up without having to sign up and compete that day too. Like I said, sometimes just watching things and how they happen will get you more at ease, or at least take you home with the things you think you need to work on before you show up again, and you are ready. But you have to show up to know first.
I know when we got Mo into dock diving, we came to, I think it was the Valentine's
Yeah.
event you guys were having. And I brought Justin so he could see what it was.
You got to show up. You learn so much by attending them. You can do all the research you want. And you'll learn more. And if you're not sure what venue you want to do, like the Nux, the UFTA, the Nastra, the Dock Dogs, the NAD, go to a couple. You will see differences between them. You'll even see differences in the people between them. Find what suits you before you, if you're not totally solid on it. Find which one suits you, your personality, what your goals are in doing this, before you just jump into one and realize it's not what you wanted. Show up and see some of them. Most of the people there are nice. You need to come to God's country. Hang out with us. Doubles. We can run doubles. It's so much fun. I know. Doubles is fun. Start doing doubles with your husband.
Yeah. I need to get him. He needs to start shooting more because he's like cross-eye dominant.
Mm-hmm.
So he's always complaining that he can't hit anything because when he pulls up.
I understand. About 2.5 years ago now, just getting old, my vision went from being perfect to I now have like bifocals and everything else. and I didn't want contacts, so I went to glasses. And I can't hit the broadside of a barn wearing glasses. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my bifocals in them. I mean, it was bad. Like I missed everything, and I spent a year like, what am I doing? Why can't I hit anything? What's going on here? And I ended up with the multifocal contacts. I only wear them for hunting and shooting, and I can hit things with them again. For some reason, my vision went and my shooting went. I mean, it was rough. I mean, it was a rough time. I couldn't figure it out. I thought something was wrong with my gun, but it was my eyesight. My eyesight actually was going, and I got the glasses, and like I said, I can't hit anything in my glasses. I mean, it's obnoxious. It's so bad. But my contacts and we get along well. And my son says he knows I'm hunting if I put contacts in.
I need to cut my gun down. I need to get my Frankie cut down.
The stock end of it. I have 3 guns all cut to the size of one. I bought that little and people laugh. It's ridiculously short. I bought a Winchester SX4 Field Compact and swapped the 28-inch barrel for a 26. It literally is small as a youth gun. But I have a very short length of pull. So I consequently had my goose gun and my over-under cut down to match them. Put the time into it and then spend the summer shooting some clays over it. I can't hit clays very well, I won't lie. I'm horrible at skeet and clay shooting. But what I use it for is muscle memory. Just because when you're in the field in the berg, it's the best way to practice that pull, to shoulder your gun, shoulder over and over and over and over again. And if you're gonna do any type of extreme work to a gun, I recommend just putting time behind some clays. We have 5-stand here, like at the local club. You can shoot 5-stand for $5 a round. So it's a good way to work on. Like I said, for me, I've spent some time. I was having a problem with muscle memory. I never seemed to. When I first started this shooting upland birds over 10 years ago, I didn't have that muscle memory to shoulder that fast. And then I had a tendency to not swing through when I pulled the trigger. So I spent time on sporting clays to fix some of that. That's where I got some of those habits down.
I need to cut it down, but I need to find somebody to do it.
That's the dicey part. I don't even.
Yeah, because it's an expensive gun, and I don't want to just like give it to somebody and.
Let me see if the guy who did mine is still around. He was really good, and he's done 3 of them for me. He wasn't that old. I wouldn't think he'd retire. Let me see if he's still around, and I can let you know and get back to you on that. Because I trust him. Like I said, he did all mine. He's done some expensive ones for me. And I still go back to the original Old Faithful gun I started with. People are like, I don't know why you don't carry the pretty gun. I'm very comfortable with the gun I joke I grew up with. It is beat up so bad. It's seen so many woods and so many. I've dropped it so many times in so many odd places. But it keeps showing up, and I'm going to keep using it. I actually replaced the butt pad on it last fall. It wore down to nothing. There was not a scrap left on it. Yeah. Then I went and shot some clays because when I went to shoulder it, I noticed there's an 1.5 inch difference. It wasn't worn down. It was new. It's normal again. So I hope you go to God's country and keep you in the loop if you decide you want to. I'm going to run to Michigan a couple times. I've got some friends up there. Place to stay. Go up on a hunt the weekend and come home. It's not far. It's only 5 hours from me. I'll keep you in the loop. If you have any interest in running to Michigan for woodcock and grouse.
I do.
I have no problem jumping 5 hours in a truck and going to hunt for the weekend.
No, we went to when we went to Iowa in the fall. That was our first out of state hunt, and we got hooked. So then we got the camper, so we can go out to South Dakota. Justin wants to go to Montana.
Montana has sage grouse. It's a bucket list bird. They're going to take it off the list in the next few years. If you can get out there, look up, try to find a sage grouse. Might be the only one you ever shoot.
Maybe I'll tell him to, because this year's our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you. So our plan for a trip for that was to go out to South Dakota. But now he's back and forth. So maybe I'll tell him that this year we can go to Montana. Next year we can go to South Dakota.
Look up the greater sage grouse. It's like a small turkey. You're going to see it and you're going to want one stuffed on your wall. I'm telling you. They're amazing. It's a bucket list bird for me, and I've not had the opportunity. If you decide to go to South Dakota, I don't know if you've looked at where you want to go, central, west, east.
No, the boys are driving me nuts. I need to just look myself.
I have found more success on multiple species near Pierre, which is the capital, out in that region. You can hunt jackrabbits like no tomorrow, prairie chicken, sharp-tailed grouse, and pheasant. When we stayed on the east side of South Dakota, we only ever found pheasant. So I've learned over the time that the sharpies and the prairie chickens tend to stay mid to west South Dakota. But it all depends on what you want to hunt. I prefer the pheasant for me when I go out there now, or like a bonus to what I'm looking for, which is the grouse. But I've never hunted pheasant in Iowa, so.
Luckily I went for cast iron kennels and wild fire kennels out there was hosting a ladies event. Mm-hmm. So I went out there and most of it's private land. So there isn't a lot of public land for it. But they were able to tell us like a couple public spots just because they knew it. Mm-hmm. And when I went with the ladies, Justin and Shane went off on their own. And they got into a covey of quail. Justin was fumbling with his phone though. And his gun, so he didn't get any shots off, but
I understand.
But he said it was cool. He was like, I didn't know what was going on. He said, I didn't know there was quail out here. I said, yeah, Jared said there's quail, so.
You get surprised by things sometimes. I've been surprised by woodcock more than anything when I'm hunting grouse. So, well, thanks for having me on. I'm going to go let my crying dogs out, because now that we're done recording, you notice the whining stopped. I love these dogs. Thanks for having me. Take care, dear. Hopefully I see you at God's country.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Lonesome Willow podcast. To keep up to date on all things Lonesome Willow, you can find us on Instagram at LonesomeWillow_podcast, Lonesome Willow _Gundogs, Facebook under Lonesome Willow Gundogs, YouTube to watch the video version under Lonesome Willow Gundogs. If you know someone that would love to tell their story or you would like to tell yours, please reach out. I cannot wait to keep growing this amazing bird dog community.